Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Luke, and as you can see by the title, today we will be going over one player from every team that team needs to trade. Now, we all know there's that one player on every team who's, not in the best fit, not in the best situation, or just is being paid too much. So we're going to go over every single team in the NBA, and we're going to go over one player on every single team that needs to get traded. Now, if you guys could do me a favor real quick and go sub to my NFL channel, the link in the description. Me and my friend post some really cool NFL videos on that channel, so if you can go hit that up, that would mean a lot to me. So let's get right into this video. Now, first up on my list, we got the Atlanta Hawks with Dwayne Dedmon. Now look, Dwayne Dedmon is being paid $13 million a year. He's not that young. He's averaging 6 points per game in 16 minutes. He's just not worth the salary he's being paid, and especially on a young and upcoming team, this salary needs to be gone. They can't be paying $13 million to someone who's A, not part of their future, and B, not contributing in the way they want them to. So, yeah, this contract just isn't supposed to be there. In 16 minutes, he's averaging 5.9 points per game and 5 rebounds, which isn't bad for the amount of minutes, but they just don't need him on this team anymore, and it's just very, very evident. Now, the next team we got on the list is the Boston Celtics. Now, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, this player is Gordon Hayward. Now, look, here's the deal. There's not really a lot of other players that I would consider tradable on the Boston Celtics. The other person I looked at was Marcus Smart, but he's only being paid $12 million, and he's a really big part of the Celtics team. Gordon Hayward's being paid a max contract, and he's having a really good season this year. He's averaging like 17 points per game, which is way better than what he did last year, especially coming back from that crazy injury. But look, if there had to be one player on the Celtics team, it would be Gordon Hayward. Some teams off the top of my head, maybe the Magic would want to make a move for him, maybe a contending team somewhere. If they can get good value for him, I think they should do that. But, I don't really think he's a must-need right now. There's just not really anybody on the Celtics who's like fully tradable, Okay, now the Brooklyn Nets was by far the hardest one. There is not one person on this Brooklyn Nets team that deserves a trade. Like you could just look at the roster. Their biggest contracts are literally Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Spencer Dinwiddie, and DeAndre Jordan. 4 key players to that team. And then they have players like Garrett Temple and Taurean Prince and Jared Allen who are all being paid $3 million. They don't need to trade anybody. But the one person I said that they maybe can trade is Nicholas Claxton, just because he's a young player with maybe some trade value. Maybe they can get like a late first round pick with it so they can trade. I don't know. But like the Nets, there's no one on this team they need to trade. And that's a good thing. I just said Nicholas Claxton because obviously he's not contributing right now. And if they can trade a young piece to another young team for a picker or some value, then they should do that. But there's no really trades they need to make right now, and there's no one they really have to trade. So shout out to the Nets for doing a good job with the roster. Now the Charlotte Hornets, Jesus Christ. Cody Zeller and Nicholas Batum. Cody Zeller has been doing good for the Hornets. He's been holding on that center position, but I bet you the Hornets do take Onyeka Okongwu the chance this year, and Cody Zeller just isn't worth the $14 million right now. The Hornets need to go into rebuild mode. They have some young pieces. They have PJ, Miles Bridges, Devontae Graham. They have a good start. They can't have some stupid contracts holding them back. Nicholas Batum, the PT just isn't there. The production isn't there. $25 million. It's insane. It's nuts. I don't even need to get into this. No one's going to want to take that contract, but he is a must-need player. So 2 people for the Hornets. Next up with the Chicago Bulls, also a kind of tricky one, but I think it's Thaddeus Young. I don't think the Bulls really should have signed Thaddeus Young. It wasn't really that productive as a signing, in my opinion. Honorable mentions are Sato and Cristiano Felicio. No one's going to want to take Cristiano Felicio's contract, and it's $8 million over 2 years, which they can deal with. But Thaddeus Young is getting old. $13 million over 3 years. That's just not a contract that they should be wanting at the moment. And before you guys go, Otto Porter Jr., I don't think anybody's going to want to take Otto Porter Jr.'s contract, and I think, maybe he can revive his career soon. But yeah, if Otto Porter doesn't show any productivity next year, then yeah, he's definitely a tradable piece. There's a lot for the Bulls, but Thaddeus Young, I just think he's not going to provide any value in the next 3 years, and he's being paid too much, so there you go. Now the Cleveland Cavaliers, oh my goodness. It's a race between Kevin Love and Larry Nance Jr., but Larry Nance Jr. is good in his role, and I don't think he needs a trade. But Kevin Love does need a trade. He's been a little bit angry with this Cavs team, and there's been trade rumors of this dude since I don't even know, the Ice Age, the Big Bang. This dude has been in trade rumors for the longest time. I mean, obviously he's being paid $28 million. He's not a part of the future anymore. Kevin Love's still productive. There's going to be a lot of teams out there who will be wanting to give some pieces up for a player who can contend right now. I'm thinking about the Celtics. I'm thinking about the Heat. I'm thinking about, a lot of teams that are ready to contend at the moment. Maybe the Nuggets. Yeah, if the Cavs can free up some cap space, get some young pieces, I think they should pull the trigger. Dallas Mavericks, this one's pretty self-explanatory. I got my boy Courtney Lee, just getting old, not part of this team anymore, being paid way too much money. And they got him in that next trade they made with Dennis Smith Jr. and Porzingis. Yeah, like, if they can get him off their hands in any way, I would do it, just to clear up some cap space. Not really much to say here. It's just Courtney Lee doesn't really have a role with this team. He's getting old, and he's being paid way too much, so get him up on that here. Now, here comes back a juicy one with the Denver Nuggets. Gary Harris. Very, very disappointing season for Gary Harris. He just got that bag last year, getting paid $17 million, and he's averaging 10 points per game now as a starting shooting guard next to Jamal Murray. But look, he went from averaging 17.5 points per game to 12 and now to 10. He's on the downfall. And he's only played 5 years in the NBA, and he is getting paid too much money. It's just a fact. And they also have Will Barton off the bench, who can easily slide into that starting shooting guard spot. It's not like they need Gary Harris right now, and he's not really productive at the moment. His defense, obviously he's a really good defender, but he's just not worth the money right now. He's downgrading, he's declining, it seems like. I think a Gary Harris trade in the offseason is definitely possible. Nuggets fans, tell me what y'all think in the comments down below about Gary Harris. Now, with the Detroit Pistons, you can see in the thumbnail, I got the one and only Blake Griffin, but also I have Tony Snell. Now look, Tony Snell, he's a sharpshooter. He's really not efficient, but he's putting up 8 points per game on 40% from the three-point line, so that's good. He's just a sharpshooter, but being paid way too much and not being productive. He's playing 27.8 minutes per game and averaging 8 points per game. That's just not okay. He needs to get on out of there. They have a lot of bad contracts. Tony Snell is being paid a lot of money. Blake Griffin, people forget he had a career year 2 years ago, but he is being paid $32 million. He just came off a bad injury. Yeah, we got some surgery, They just traded Andre Drummond. The trend is here. The trend is that they're going to trade Blake Griffin. The Pistons need to blow it all up, and I think this is a real possibility. Golden State Warriors. Now look, there's no one on this Warriors team that I think they really need to trade. I don't think Draymond Green is a skilled basketball player at all. But his intensity, his presence on the basketball court makes all the people around him better. So I don't think they need to trade Draymond. But if there's one player that this team needs to trade, it would be Draymond. Because look, they have Curry, Clay, and Wiggins. Those are 3 keepers in my opinion. I don't see them trading Wiggins, and I think he could be a good piece for this Warriors team. And then they have Kevon Looney and like a bunch of other small contracts. So Draymond, I'm sorry, bro, you're the odd man out right here. I still think it's maybe a possibility they can trade him. He's being paid a boatload of money for not putting up really good numbers. But we all seen the effect that he has on the Splash Bros. Isn't it crazy that the Splash Bros are still together? Like, don't you remember talking about, like, Splash Bros in, like, 2014? That's still a thing. Just think about that. That's kind of crazy. Now, Houston Rockets, this is a tricky one. They obviously don't have a lot of depth, and Eric Gordon is the one here. Now, look, he's having a good year. He's been playing efficient for the last couple of years for this Rockets team, but they don't really have anybody else that I think needs to go right away. Eric Gordon, he's getting up there in age. His decline is starting at the moment, and the first half of the season was pretty rough for Eric Gordon. I mean, he wasn't really playing that efficient. He's averaging 15 points per game, but I think they could trade him to another contending team, get some young assets, maybe get some more depth for Eric Gordon, who's declining at the moment, being paid too much money. And if they were to trade someone, it would definitely be Eric Gordon, just because of the contract and how he's getting old and declining. So Eric Gordon for the Houston Rockets. Indiana Pacers, this is a tricky one, but it's Miles Turner. Miles, it's time. Miles, it's time for you to go, bro. Like, you've gotten too many years to prove yourself in this league, okay? You're out here on King of the Fourth Quarters podcast telling you're a better shooter than Joel Embiid. Like, you can't be, you gotta prove that you can actually play good basketball. You just got that bag. It's time for you to go. There's definitely gonna be a lot of people who would want Miles Turner. It's just he can't be the center for the future for this Pacers team. Being paid $18 million, they already have Sabonis, who's a monster all-star, who plays center too. Like, they don't need Miles Turner right now. They could trade him. He's not getting better over these years. He's still young, but he's just not getting better. It's just you don't see any improvement, so I think he might have to go. He's actually having a worse season than he did last year, so yeah, man, it's Miles Turner's time to go here. Woo! LA Clippers, another one of those teams who doesn't really need to trade anybody. Marcus Morris and Lou Williams were the last two. Man, but I don't think they really need to trade Lou Williams. It's just no one else fits this position. Kawhi, PG, Pat Bev, Zubac, they all don't fit. Like, they don't need to be traded. And then the rest of their players are just Trez and just, lower contract people. And Lou Williams is sitting there getting old, but he's a huge part of the Clippers team. If there's anybody on the Clippers team, it's either Marcus Morris or Lou Williams, but I think I'd have Lou Williams just because they just traded for Marcus Morris. And Lou Williams is getting older. I don't think they need to trade Lou Williams. I just think he qualifies the most for this because there's no other real pieces that they would need to trade right now. Los Angeles Lakers, y'all know my team. KCP, get your ass on up out of here, bro. KCP's first year in LA was really good. He has a really good year first year in LA. But it seems like we just keep re-signing him to one-year deals. You know, KCP, you're a good bench player. You've been providing depth for us, but we can get something way better, younger, cheaper for you, okay? Playing 25 minutes a game, averaging 9 points per game. He's not injury prone, which is a good thing, but he's just not as productive as we need him to be. He's been declining every single year he's been in LA, and he's just getting less and less efficient. We can get a better depth piece for KCP 100% if we just trade him. Grizzlies, we got Tyus Jones and Kyle Anderson. Tyus Jones has been running that backup point guard spot, being paid too much money. Get him up out of here. Kyle Anderson got a bag from the Grizzlies a couple years ago. Been a good bench piece for him, slow-mo, you know. But just haven't been providing the value that they want him to with that big contract they paid him. I feel like a trend with a lot of this is like young teams who have players who are older and getting paid a lot. I feel like that's like the big X factor in this video. So yeah, those two, they just don't need those players anymore. So yeah, I think that's fits for the Grizzlies. Kelly Olynyk for the Miami Heat. He's having a very poor year this year. Playing 19 minutes a game, averaging 7.7 points per game. Not efficient enough, especially to be a really valuable bench piece on a finals contender. If the finals even happen. They don't need this dude Kelly Olynyk anymore, okay? His time in Miami should be up. He's being paid $13 million. He's only averaging 4.4 rebounds per game off not good proficiency. Jesus Christ. Efficiency. Yeah, I mean, like, Kelly Olynyk being paid too much for what situation the Heat are in right now. They don't need him on this team, and he's not providing good value. I know a lot of you Heat fans can agree with me. Milwaukee Bucks, another team that doesn't need a lot of trading, but Eric Bledsoe. Eric Bledsoe is a big piece of this team, but as he ages, as his contract gets bigger, they might want to trade him for some young pieces. They might want to trade him for something young. I don't think he's a necessity to trade, but I think if there's anybody on this Bucks team, they trade him because they don't need to make a trade right now. They're the best team in the league. This is one of the best record teams ever. I mean, like, you know, this is probably top 20 for best records ever. They don't need to make any moves right now. So Eric Bledsoe, as he ages, I could definitely see him being a trade target, but he's fitting well into this Bucks system, and they don't really need to trade anybody right now, so Eric Bledsoe just by default is the player that fits. And also Brook Lopez, but Brook Lopez is literally their only big man, and he's a good player for them, so no one really the Bucks need to trade, but if I had to choose, it'd be Eric Bledsoe. Minnesota Timberwolves, let's just get this one out of here. James Johnson, you know, coming off the bench for this team. They got him in that Heat trade. They don't need him anymore, okay? He's being paid $15 million. I doubt there's going to be anybody to take his contract, but especially for a team who's going to be in the lottery this year, especially for a team who's going to get a really high draft pick, James Johnson, just get up on out of here, bro. Maybe they can trade him for a second. Maybe a team who wants him. New Orleans Pelicans, Darius Miller. Now, look, I watched every single Pelicans game this year, okay? I did not see Darius Miller take a step onto this court, and he's being paid $7 million. My fault, y'all. I didn't realize that he was injured, so I guess he tore his Achilles last year, so, yeah, just my fault. Didn't know that. Etuan Moore is also a possibility. Maybe they can get a trade asset for him. But, you know, he's been playing good. You know, he's been playing, being that sharpshooter, being that playmaker. He's been a good bench piece for them. I don't think these Pelicans need a trade. I just think there's no point of having this Darius Miller on the team. Maybe they can attach him with like a late round pick for another late round pick or a second just to get off that money. But yeah, I mean, like, there's just unneeded money. That's pretty much what it is. New York Knicks. There's so many people I could have chose. All those people they signed last year on 2-year deals. But I just said Wayne Ellington for this one. I could have chose anybody on this roster. Taj Gibson, Alfred Payton, Wayne Ellington, Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina. They're all trade pieces. They're literally all trade pieces. It's just Ellington's being paid $8 million, not doing anything, okay? This whole Knicks roster is tradable. Everybody. Like, you can go down the roster. Look, Julius Randle's tradable, Bobby Portis is tradable, Maurice Harkless is tradable, Gibson is tradable, Payton is tradable, Wayne Ellington is tradable, RJ Barrett. Okay, RJ Barrett maybe not tradable. Maybe the only one on the team who's not tradable. But Ntilikina, Smith Jr., Knox, Bullock, Trier, Dotson, Robinson is tradable in my opinion if they can get someone. Brzdeikis. Okay, now we get into... But, like, everybody on this team is tradable, man. Like, it's kind of crazy. Y'all get the point. Oklahoma City Thunder. Danilo Gallinari and R.J. Roberson. R.J. Roberson just feel like he's never going to play basketball again. This dude's been injured for 3 years, just hanging out with Rachel Domino all day long. Just get him up out of here, man. R.J. Roberson, he's a really good defender. Can't shoot, but he's a good piece for the Thunder. Like, 2 or 3 years ago, he's been injured. He's not coming back. He's being paid a good amount of money. So once he heals fully, maybe they can get a trade partner for him, maybe attach a pick to that, because he's being paid too much for the Thunder situation. Gallo, you know, he's having a really good season. That's why I say maybe they can get a cool trade asset for him. Like, they were about to make a trade with the Heat, but that never happened. So maybe they can make a trade with someone, you know, maybe they can get, like, a good deal for them. So, yeah, I think Gallo's also up in there in the trade talks, too. Orlando Magic, Alfred Camino. Jesus Christ. Okay, so he did tear his Achilles this year, But, before that, he was averaging 4 points per game off very bad shooting. He was having a worst year of his career. Magic thought they could bring him as a bench piece. I don't want to say this, but Alfred Gavino's career might be over after this. I mean, he just came off a terrible season and a terrible injury. I don't know if he'll get re-signed, and I don't know if he's ever going to be a contributor on an NBA team again. So if they can trade him, that would be cool. Philadelphia 76ers. Hot. Sixers fans, you're going to be mad, but it's Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid and Al Horford. Al Horford has been rumored in trade offers this year. I think y'all need to blow this up. Okay? The chemistry on this team isn't working. Ellen Brand, I see the vision. I see the idea. Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid don't coexist. They don't coexist. It's obvious. Just watch Sixers games. Joel Embiid, they can trade him for a lot. They can get a multitude of draft picks and get a multitude of young players. They can get a good slight rebuild going. I think Ben Simmons is a keeper. I think Tobias Harris, they're not going to get off that contract, and he's still good. I just think if they trade Joel Embiid, they can get a lot of pieces that they could construct and get some really good assets with. I think Joel Embiid could get you another superstar and maybe some picks, We all know Joel Embiid has a really big ego, so they don't want that player on that team where this team is already toxic, okay? So in my opinion, just get him up and out of here, man. Joel Embiid, they could trade him, get some good young assets. Phoenix Suns is Ricky Rubio. He's been pretty good this season. He's being paid $13 million, starting point guard for the team, but not a future piece for them. They can trade him, get a late round pick for a contender. That's what they should do, because they can get a lot of good guards this year, because obviously the Suns are going to be in the lottery. Cole Anthony's there, Killian Hayes is there, Tyrese Halliburton is there, LaMelo is there. They don't need Ricky Rubio anymore. Maybe they can have him as a mentor piece, but it's just they don't need a player like Ricky Rubio there anymore. They can trade him, get some young assets, like I said. Portland Trail Blazers, Trevor Ariza. Now, I feel like this year and last year, Trevor Ariza has played on every single team in the NBA. He's on the Kings and the Trail Blazers and the Wizards and the Suns. Trevor Ariza has been around the NBA, and he's not being efficient, he's not being productive, and he's being paid too much. So those are 3 reasons why he needs to be traded right now. Maybe get some picks, like I said, maybe get swap for swap on a 1-year deal. But yeah, they're just not needed in Portland right now. Sacramento Kings, we got Corey Joseph. They made a terrible signing by signing him last year to back up De'Aaron. He's not being efficient, and he's being paid way too much, just like all these other players. I think Corey Joseph is the only one that's really valid on this Kings team, but they're doing a good job building their roster, and right before this whole Corona thing happened, they were really, really on a hot streak, so I think they can continue that, maybe make a run for the playoffs next year. San Antonio Spurs, DeMar DeRozan. DeRozan, I still think DeRozan is a superstar and an all-star caliber player, but he's being snubbed of just his recognition. DeRozan is still a superstar in my eyes. You see, he's still a good leader. He's just not in the right situation in San Antonio. San Antonio needs to blow it up. DeRozan needs to get traded, and I think he could definitely still be productive in the NBA. By the way, am I the only one who forgot LaMarcus Aldridge actually exists? He's still a really good player. I just forgot he exists. But yeah, DeRozan, I think DeRozan and Aldridge could both be traded. But yeah, they just need to blow it up, and I think both of those players are still really good. They're just in a bad situation in San Antonio, so it's kind of lose-lose for them, but they can get some young assets in training both of those players. Toronto Raptors, we got Marc Gasol. Now look, Marc Gasol, official decline starts now. He's still a presence defensively, but it's just being paid $22 million to average 5 and 5. Come on, Mark. It's just not working out for Marc Gasol right now. Not working out for the Raptors. They got Chris Boucher, young upcoming center, so maybe he can take the reins of that starting center position. Utah Jazz, we got Joe Ingles. His time is up. He's averaging 8 points per game this year. He's still in his role at 3-point shooter. He's a fan favorite, but he's being paid too much to just have an average role, and it's been rumored that Ingles might get traded, and I think this is where it'll happen. Last but not least, we got the Washington Wizards. I did not want to do this. I really did not want to do this, but there's no other players but John Wall. I love John Wall. John Wall is one of my favorite players in the NBA, and I'm dying to see him come back with Bradley Beal, but there's no other players that qualify for this with Washington Wizards, so I'm sorry, John, bro. I don't know how they would trade him. Maybe for a Chris Paul, John Wall swap or something like that, with the Wizards throwing in a lot of picks. I don't know, but maybe that can happen. John Wall on the Thunder jersey would be icy. But yeah, man, that'll do it for this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell me who you think I left out, who you think would be a better trade piece, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Do all that good stuff in the comments down below, and yeah, appreciate it.